was being sold in sort of jam jars. And when people were drinking out of jam jars, there was a distinctive horizontal red line that you could usually identify them. Somewhere along the line, though, within a few years, we know that Appanoose County was producing an enormous amount of alcohol. We know that the arrests in 1921, that's the year right after we got Prohibition. We know that the average arrests for every county in Iowa for illegal stills was 20 to 25. In Appanoose County, it was 63. And then there appeared to be a change, quite a dramatic change. Somehow or other, people were producing more liquor. And the police would go and say, this is a very professional looking still that we've got here. It's incredibly clean. It's highly sophisticated. And slowly, bit by bit, they were finding that the production of gallons, which before had been 5 or 10, were now up to 40, 300, 500, 620, and in one still, 2,162 gallons. Now, you may ask why. Well, Appanoose County's grappy and whiskey called hooch was of unusual good quality. Its reputation began, I think this is the answer to the economy of the town today. Let's produce grappy again and sell it as grappy, right? However, we know that it was 7% was the grappy alcohol content, and the hooch, 44%. So alcoholism was rife. I mean, I would burst out laughing at some of the descriptions. I just tell you one. A leading member of the community, he was a pharmacist, had a son who apparently liked to tipple a lot, right? And he was caught one day on the southeast part of the town, dressed in ice cream pants, don't ask me what those are, and a black and white striped top hat. His friend was on the northwest corner, holding aloft an umbrella, and the two of them were directing traffic. People would sit in the middle of Drake Avenue, and the police would go, they couldn't even get them upright, leave alone getting them negotiated. And the smell of alcohol was gently permeated all over the town, because they brought it to this building. When they found a still, this is where they brought the liquor. They took it down to the basement. Somebody broke in. They smashed everything. So they decided, okay, we'll take it up to a higher floor in the courthouse. There was a leak, and it started gently going down the walls of the whole courthouse. And then they started tipping it into Cooper Creek, which is the creek as you're leaving town on the west there, right? And one day as they were busy tipping the alcohol into Cooper Creek, there were two tramps who could smell it, started running madly towards it, and when they realized it was being tipped into the sand and the mud, they stood there and cried. So alcohol then was becoming highly dominant, and of course it was breaking the law. But this very professional sort of production of alcohol, because the quality of the grappy and the hooch was spreading right across America. They knew about it in Kansas City. They knew about it in Chicago. And when one gentleman from Goatsburg appeared here in court to be fined, he said to the judge quite openly, I can get $40 a bottle, a gallon, for my wine in New York City. So when the people were arrested and they were charged, they paid their fine and they went right back to making the illegal grappy and the hooch, because the economic advantage for them was simply obvious. So now then, Prohibition continued. And then a very nasty turn. With Prohibition, crimes started to go up. I counted 16 murders in the space of about 2 years around about this Centerville area. They were being dragged up to the railroad tracks, horribly mutilated, a lot of them, so they could never be identified. There were 63 major robberies in the period of 1 year that I counted. So something else was happening. We know that at least 4 men simply disappeared. One from Rathbun, the other from Gallyville. We know 4 men with Italian names died horrible deaths, and I knew I couldn't remember these names, so I wrote them down. Philadelphia Tudora was beheaded. By the way, these are all deaths that occurred in Cicero, which is Appanoose area of Chicago. Philadelphia Tudora was found beheaded. John Castanaro, who is well known here, was buried alive at the back of a Cicero garage. Sam Falzoni, he had 2 houses, one here in town and one in Cicero. It exploded with dynamite and killed him. Santo Celebron was shot for talking too much. And Louis Cora from 30 was shot in the head, didn't die, somehow got back to Centerville, went to Dr. W.B. Miller's office, who dug 3 bullets out of his head. So morality appeared to be in free fall. People started asking, what in the world's going on? What's causing this? Well, Jesse Beck, the editor of the newspaper, of whom I've got tremendous respect, right? Jesse Beck said, it's the effect of the war. That First World War, people coming back here, that's the cause of it. The ministers in the churches said, no, it's poor church attendance. And the holy rollers that had a round tent so that the devil couldn't hide in the corner, right behind the Chapman store down on South 18th Street, they said, it's obvious the devil's here. Other people said it's women. Look what's happening to them. They're bobbing their hair. They're divorcing people. Do you realize that Judge Helter came in here one day? He had 61 divorces to handle in this courtroom. And he turned to the court and he said, there was a time when women simply had to put up with whatever situation they were in. And because of education and because of the economy being given jobs to women, they don't have to do that anymore. They can get up and they can walk out. 61 divorces. There were children completely out of control. When people say to me, oh, it'd be good to go back to the good old days, they can go. Because crime, children were out of control, families were fighting, were in feuds, bullets were flying around the town. It went through tires of cars, it went through windshields. One bullet flew through a window of Rathbun School, just missing the teacher and the children, and embedded itself in the blackboard. Well, something else was happening. We know now that really organized gangs from the big cities were moving into Centerville. The first evidence came when patrolman Slim Edwards was going home along 12th Street about 1 in the morning. And he noticed that a car had broken down and there were 3 men on hands and knees trying to change the wheel. He offered to help. In return,